Okay. We can start the session now. So, hello and welcome everyone. We're very glad to have your company here for the next hour as we discuss the work of humanitarian OpenStreetMap team and also the open mapping hubs and data partnerships in Asia Pacific, West and Northern Africa, and Latin America regions. So before we kick off, if we have attendees here, please add your name, where you are calling from, and what organization you work for using the chat. So yeah, thank you for joining us. We're very excited to be here on behalf of the HOT staff, wider of volunteer community, and our partners to share more about our work. I'm Arnely. I work as the online community engagement lead for humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. And with me are three other colleagues from the open mapping hubs in three regions. So later we'll hear more from Celine, Rafaye, and Jan. And yeah, today we will cover these 4 parts, and I'm going to start by sharing more information about HOT and OpenStreetMap, and then we will then look at the open mapping hubs and their localization work in panel discussion, and we'll also have Q&A for that. So yeah, as I've mentioned, I work for HOT, or Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. So we're working with OpenStreetMap to build a free and open map of the world. So in most of the places we work, OpenStreetMap is the most accurate available map resource. So we are an NGO which supports communities and OpenStreetMap contributors around the world. We map areas vulnerable to disasters and where services such as education, health, water, and sanitation are least accessible to the population and are often the least mapped. And some of these areas rely on outdated hand-drawn maps. So by combining OpenStreetMap, open source tools, and local knowledge, we support mapping communities worldwide and create and provide data and maps to improve humanitarian action, disaster response, and development. So what we do, we can start like with the clockwise. So one of our main activities is, of course, to support humanitarian response. We know each year disasters around the world affect, displace, or kill millions of people. Maps are critical in the hours, days, and weeks after a disaster to help responders identify and reach affected communities quickly, increasing the potential to save lives. And humanitarian mapping ensures that decision makers are able to rely on maps and geodata to better allocate resources, to respond to disasters, to better reach target communities. We are able to mobilize our network of contributors around the world who work together to provide map data in OpenStreetMaps. So we also support OSM communities made up of OSM contributors to prepare for and respond to the disasters and local development challenges through capacity development, providing trainings, tech, and grants. So our partnerships are key for building relationships with impact partners that use HOT volunteer-generated data to create impact in the humanitarian sector, as well as developing strategic technology partnerships with HOT's tech team to empower and improve HOT's products. We're also managing and building corporate partnerships to provide employee volunteering opportunities, but also shared value opportunities. And yeah, as mentioned earlier, we're using OpenStreetMap. We are working together to build a free and open and accessible map of the world. And OpenStreetMap is actually dubbed as the Wikipedia of maps. Everyone can edit it, and it's a public good. So that valuable data can be used by all local actors. And yes, I mentioned that maps are critical in the hours, day, and weeks after a disaster. They are also key in anticipatory action. For example, help community on preparedness for the next major disaster, outbreak. So some examples of the projects we've worked on includes mapping for disaster risk resilience, where our colleagues in the Philippines, which is the third most disaster-prone country in the world, have been working with the local governments to create preparedness plans that build resilience. And also on November 2020, natural disasters like Hurricane Eta brought wind, rain, and storm surge to the coast of Nicaragua, and volunteers can map to help first responder to understand where there is flooding and landslide. We're also supporting inclusion projects, from pursuing LGBTQ inclusion and representation in mapping to empowering women and girls to create gender data about issues affecting their lives. And one of that example is a community development organization called Crowd2Map Tanzania, who have been helping to fight female genitalia mutilation in Tanzania through mapping rural areas to get help to girls and women who are at risk in FGM. And yeah, this is the tool that helps organizations to create mapping project. This is called the Hot Tasking Manager. And the Tasking Manager supports mapping efforts and edits in OpenStreetMap by splitting a large area of your project into smaller areas or grid, which are called tasks. So where we work, HAT has facilitated mapping field projects and remote mapping projects in over 163 countries across the world. So our work also spans field, as mentioned, field data collection activities, and we have been supported by a global community of remote mappers of over 300,000 volunteers. And through the regional hub, we are prioritizing operations and mapping activities in 94 countries around the world. And as a member of the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data, we are committed to align our work with the Sustainable Development Goals. So listed here, you will see our 5 global priority areas, and this reflects the majority of the types of projects we work on. However, Open Mapping Hub can be applied to any local development challenge in addition to the impact areas shown here. So to talk about Open Mapping Hubs, I pass it over to my colleague, John Unen, OSM trainer for Open Mapping Hub Asia Pacific. John?
Thank you. Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to the session and welcome to having us. Thank you, Arnalee, for the great introduction. I'm going to introduce the Open Mapping Hubs that has been formed within the last year in Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. I'm part of one of the hubs, so I'm part of the Asia Pacific hub, and I have joined the hub the start of this year as OpenStreetMap trainer. And currently we have 4 regional hubs, and each hub is diverse and focused in its own kind of way, where the regional circumstances and regional parameters are allowing us to. So we can, I think, go on to the next slide, Annalie. Okay, thank you. So as I said, in Open Mapping Hub are active in 4 regions. So the 94 countries that Annalie has talked about is divided regionally. So we have identified 4 different regions, 4 regions, and we are aiming to connect NGOs, governments, and local communities together so that they can use open data in decision making. So we have this map base, we have this open mapping platform that we are using and facilitating, but we don't want to just, our aim is not just to have that data lying around. So we are also looking and aiming to also define the use cases of this open data in decision making by different NGOs, governments, and local communities there, and work with partners to create that free and shareable data in OpenStreetMap, not just creating and also maintaining and keeping that data up to date, with the help and support and participation of local actors and communities as well. And we want to also inspire and mobilize an OpenStreetMap movement across each region, supporting the growth of vibrant OpenStreetMap ecosystems, which will support just the previous idea that I talked about, not just creating that data and leave it laying around there, just creating that data and keeping the data alive and up to date. So as I said, there are four areas, for regions, for regional hubs that was defined within Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, focusing regionally, focusing on regional topics, regional subjects, and operating in regional context. So it is from left to right, Open Mapping Hub, Latin America, Latin and South America. So Open Mapping Hub, Eastern and Southern Africa, West and Northern Africa, so and Asia Pacific. So Latin America and Caribbean Hub is focusing on 22 priority countries. West and Northern Africa Hub focusing on 24. Eastern and Southern African Hub is focusing on 23, and Asia Pacific Hub is focusing on 25 priority countries. And I think I see that Anneli has also shared that the list of these countries with you. So I think in the coming minutes, in later parts, we are going to discuss what these individual hubs are doing in more detail. And we have representatives from all of the hubs there. So Anneli, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Wonderful. So yeah, we moved on to the most exciting part of the session. But yeah, before that, I would like to also ask my other colleagues, Celine and Rafael, to maybe share your camera and yeah, maybe give a brief introduction about you, where you are coming from, and yeah, your interest in local input to data creation. Maybe Celine can start first.
Hi, hello everybody. So I'm Celine Jacquin. I'm project manager for the first version of the LATAM hub. So we are preparing this hub. We are in a preparatory and exploratory phase now. I'm based in Mexico City, and my excitement about locating the data is around making cultural pertinence in the data. Thank you.
Thank you, Celine. Wonderful. And passing over to Rafael. Oh, you're still muted.
My name is Amadou Rufai. I'm from Niger Republic, Niamey. I'm the partnership manager of the Hub of Western and Northern Africa. We just launched our activities in the mid-March, and I'm very, very interested about the localizing of Geodata in the different hubs. Thank you. Over.
Thank you, Rafael. Wonderful. And I think John already introduced himself, but yeah, maybe you can answer the question. Why are you excited, or yeah, what do you think are the benefits of local input in data creation?
Yeah, so the world is very diverse, and every culture, every region has its own specific properties, settings, etc. So one global approach, I think, will not be suitable for everywhere. So that's why I think that local input and that region focus is playing very high importance there, because right now the hubs are also the hub structure is more aware of that regional context. The hubs are structured very much aligned with the regional context, so that that local input, local knowledge is going to be able to be more both accessible and both more reachable with this approach. So looking at a remote perspective doesn't always help, and there has to be a local and regional context and point of view, I think, in that. So I think we are hoping to tap that as the regional hubs.
Great. Thank you, John, for that wonderful answer. And yeah, John mentioned about, the diverse perspective in open mapping, and also maybe considering the different realities and contexts of each of the regions. Yeah, tell us more about your approach in localizing data creation, in localizing the mission and strategy of HUT to your region. Rafael, would you like to go first? And then we'll go with Celine and Jan again. Oh, you're still unmuted, Rafael.
Okay. So, the question is, to come again, please.
Yes. Yeah. So considering the different realities and contexts in your region, what is your approach in localizing local input in data creation, and also localizing the mission and strategy of HUT to your region? I know Western and Northern Africa is very new. So yeah, maybe you can let us know.
Actually, we are even defining our strategy for partnership and community strategy. And after you will just compile the global strategy of the Western and Northern Africa. The first thing is to mobilize the different OSM communities in the region, because the OSM community are the wheel drive of our activities in terms of collecting data. So we program to run some pilot projects on climate change, water access, sustainable cities, and even for public health infrastructures in order to collect data for public health infrastructure. So depend on the country where we will run our project. But there is, based on the context of the region, there is some specific area of interest, like the migrations of population based on the security and even the displacement of population from somewhere where we have insecurity to another area. And we have against like the use of land use, mostly actually population are very, very interested to know the natural resources in their area. And I think, we have maybe to see how we can even look at this kind of data in order to update the information what we have on the OSM platform, because the land use gives a lot of information concerning the land use, the resource, the natural resource of the communities, and people are very now interested about the inclusivity and participative for thematic maps. So I think that's our strategy, and to mobilize more partners to work together in the region with them in order to create this thematic geodata information in the regions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafaya. Wonderful. Yeah, very interesting to know those thematic areas where the Western and Northern African hub has been focusing. So yeah, what about you, Celine? Do you also have these thematic areas that you're working on, or yeah, what is your approach in localizing local input to data creation in your region?
So a specificity of LATAM is that compared to the other regions, maybe is that the organization has been very, not very active before. So it's known by the communities, but very little. So the relationship is to be created. And HOT is commonly receiving the same critical view from volunteers as the companies in general. So there is a general anti-corporate editing controversy. I think that the entire world knows that, but maybe in LATAM, because the relationship isn't very strong, this critical is higher maybe. So our strategy there is during this first semester, which is the alpha period of the LATAM hub, because we are just starting the strategy before the hub being open, is to lead an exploration and a network creation. So we are not developing many actions, many projects, but more focusing the effort on the creation of a relationship. And going, this is an important point, going to the community pace. So we are talking to people, we are knowing the community, we are knowing the leaders, we are knowing the work topics, the interests they have, also the relationship they have between communities. Knowing their capacities, also their technical capacities and their technical needs, to understand what kind of support we should give to them. Also where they are struggling in their mapping, and also their philosophy, understanding the philosophy and the way that local communities are understanding the open mapping is very important to be an actor that can be on a side and collaborating with them, instead of just arriving in the ecosystem and telling what might be done. Okay, so we also try to understand the difference even within the region, between countries, between specific communities. Many countries have country-level communities, but also very local communities based in cities or in specific sub-regions. So understanding the geographic variation is also very important. So for this exploration, what we do, we dialogue a lot, we participate in communities' daily life, because an important part, I think, of HOT strategy is also to integrate within the staff people from the community. We are originally open mapping users. So it's also a way for the organization to be sure that we fully understand the communities, because we are part of them, and we participate in the community's life. Doing that, we try to leverage people's ideas of projects, people's ideas of topics, in the same way we understand better their needs, and we can design the support from what the interactions between us and them allow to depict, right? We also avoid to only focus on OpenStreetMap community. The open mapping ecosystem is not only OpenStreetMap, it's also a lot of other actors that can do or eventually do or can use or eventually use open data, or OpenStreetMap, or maybe other kind of data sources. So it's important to take them in account. Generally, they have less technical capacities, so there's technical needs of training is higher. So building this ecosystem, being able to mapping it, to understanding it, and to create a beginning of relationship with them, it's our strategy in the region.
Great, thank you, Celine. So yeah, I'm observing like a pattern here, like what Rafai has mentioned. More on building relationships, since the WNA hub is a very just starting hub. They just launched last March, and with Celine, although HOT has a little bit of presence in Latin America, there's no concrete results. So they're still in that like beginning of building those relationship, and participating in dialogues and stuff. So how about John? What is your approach in the Asia Pacific? And maybe you can give us some backgrounder about Asia Pacific.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Well, Asia Pacific has some very let's say powerhouse, very strong and OpenStreetMap communities already there. So in Indonesia, in Philippines, in Nepal, now Indian OpenStreetMap communities are emerging, in Bhutan, in Papua New Guinea, Kiribati, Fiji. So there are new communities emerging, and what we are trying to do is that to be in touch with those communities as well, because the communities are going to be the backbones of that is going to be the backbone of OpenStreetMap in every country. So not just not just organizations, not just local governments, but so the community effort is quite strong, going strong in Asia Pacific hub, and our long-term goal is to make OpenStreetMap the primary choice for the digital map in the Asia Pacific region in the future. So it is quite a it is quite an ambitious thing, but I think for large functioning and healthy OpenStreetMap communities, there has to be a very well balanced in organizations, local governments, individuals, and also businesses that are using OpenStreetMap. So for this, we are aspiring to reach out to a wide range of audience, that's including governments, NGOs, local and regional communities, university groups, student groups, data users, and also data consumers that are just merely using that data for looking for a place for navigation, etc. So we are, I think, aware of all kinds of, trying to be aware of all kinds of data use and try to engage with the data users in every level, so that to create or support that movement, support that regional movement as OpenStreetMap communities. So have every representative of some level within the OpenStreetMap communities. And our hub aspirations is that within 5 to 10 years, what we are aiming to is that government, humanitarian and development agencies trust and use OpenStreetMap data in their planning and decision-making processes. Being OpenStreetMap data be the preferred choice in social entrepreneurship and economic activities. Citizens increasingly use OpenStreetMap data in their everyday lives, and underrepresented communities are included and empowered in the OpenStreetMap environment. So these are the hub aspirations that we are following through, and we are coordinating activities and engagement programs in both regional and international levels to establish this network of communities, organizations, and individuals. So we are aiming to translate these efforts into national or local level OpenStreetMap community movements.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, John. Very detailed. But yeah, I think we're still like on the building relationship. I think, yeah, that's one of the core thing that we're doing in HUT, as well as the open mapping hubs. Wonderful work you're doing here. But yeah, on the data creation, we don't just focus on the data creators. There's also the data users. So my next question for you today is, yeah, Celine mentioned HUT is, doesn't have that good of a reputation in LATAM, but yeah, how have you encountered other challenges, or are foreseeing other challenges or constraints in your approach in the hub or in building this relationship, especially between data creators and data users? And yeah, how are you overcoming it, or how are you planning to overcome those foreseen constraints or challenges? Maybe, yeah, I'll pass to Celine first to answer the question.
Thanks, Amalie. So I would say that the difficulty we have in LATAM is not specific to LATAM. I think that it's true for the entire world around the OpenStreetMap. And it's that, so it's a common difficulty that the data creators not necessarily work from a user perspective, and the users are not necessarily aware of the context of data creation, right? So both sides have different expectations and demands and different interests that are not materialized in the data. And And this materializes in the mode of creation and the perception of data quality. So typically, if we talk only about OpenStreetMap, but it could also be around other kind of sources, there is a fear in general, a fear from the users about the quality and the uniformity. So the reliability in the end of the data, it's constant, and it requires a lot from our side, from hot side, of conversation, of dialogue, to achieve a change of paradigm, and to help people understand the value of participatory and local knowledge in the value of the data. So it's something completely different, and I see that generally the users of data have not thought about that. So it's an awareness we have to do before paradigm change. And towards data creators, there's a constant accent on quality that we have to do around the mapping, and the importance in following standards in the data attributes, in the tags in OpenStreetMap during the data creation. So we have this big work into lines of sensitization, making awareness, showing, also demonstrating good results. So around the project, we have to show high quality, and it's also a challenge for us because we work with many actors. We are not fully responsible for the results, but we have to try with a lot of training, a lot of concepts, explanation, etc. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Celine, raising some challenges in data quality. And yeah, how about you, John? What has been like the challenges or constraints in building these relationships between data creators and users?
I think the main challenge regarding the data is how to keep the data, how to make the data living data, so keeping the data up to date. So I mentioned a little bit before, like you need to have strong local presence and local communities active, so that to keeping the data alive. But one approach to make that connection about the data producers and data users. So we are also aiming to run programs to representatives within the community. That can be local communities, that can be student communities, university groups, etc. But emerge as OpenStreetMap data users as well, from data creators. So not just supporting and empowering a community to just provide the data updates and provide data, but also have representatives of those communities and groups emerge as OpenStreetMap champions or OpenStreetMap power users, so that they can also be part of the organizations, local governments, etc., where they are also going to devise and design those data use scenarios, data use cases, etc. there. So we have lots of programs in order to be able to facilitate that. One of them is the She Leads and She Inspires programs, regional program where women contributors are emerging as OpenStreetMap power users within their communities, and we are encouraging the participants of the program to lead local projects within their communities to fill the gap between the data users and data creators. So while we also try to make that connection, we're also trying to work with the local communities and local participants to be also part of this connection or to facilitate that connection. Again, because there may be lots of local parameters and local circumstances that are not translated into international or regional scale as well. So the people emerging from these local communities are also very much aware of the local context that they're in, so that they can also be part of that solution. So for that, we are trying to make the local communities, representatives from the local communities, that participate in those as much as possible. And we are also having our engagements programs with universities and tech communities for that as well, so that most of the people having part of that program will be aware of both sides of this equation, both in the data use and data creation sides of this equation.
Yes, thank you, John. Sorry, I kind of got lost in the I got lost. I lost internet, but yeah, thank you so much for sharing your challenges as well as the projects you have been working on in the Asia Pacific region. And yeah, of course, let's hear from the West and Northern Africa hub. What are the challenges you're facing in building relationships between data users and data creators, and yeah, how are you overcoming it? Rafael, over to you.
Yes. Yeah, I like to divide the data users as the producers and the users. Most of the government and most of the governments, like the National Institute of Statistics in the context of Western and Northern countries, are producers of data, and mostly geospatial data, and users can be at the same time the users. But the challenge is most of the challenge is the data are not updated. So when you went to the government to maybe check a geospatial data or any data, they are not updated maybe 3 years before. You don't have it at the real time. So the challenge maybe is to collect these data, the existing data, and to update these data. I think, yeah, we have to work with the government and the National Institutes of Statistics. Even some maybe agency and the ministry don't know about the use of OSM tools as free tools. Most of the GIS or the management office that manage GIS data are using heavy database, which is very high technology based on the high licenses. So they don't know about the use of OSM tools that can help them to update their data easily and not costing. And based on their small budget, they can do a lot of things with awesome tools to update these data. And that means they don't know about awesome tools, but they have to be trained about the use of these awesome tools. So that will help a lot of in order to update these data. Another thing is so that means you have now to implicate the government staffs and the ministry to use these awesome tools in order to update at real time the data. But the challenge is the update of this data. So I think, yeah, that's the challenge we have most in the different countries in West and Northern Africa. So the producers and the users have to be implicated by for the use of OSM data, and to be trained about it, and to know what are the facilities we have by using OSM tools, and to encourage again the local staffs at the local level, like local communities, to know about it and to collect data from the fields and to update the data. So that's the main challenge I think we have to mention in order to make a geodata for the regions and for thematic area. Over.
Thank you, Rufaya. So yeah, thank you for mentioning those challenges, like data usage, updating of data, and also data quality, and yeah, also integrating different local actors in the data field. So yeah, my next question for you is, yeah, looking at more on your work, can you give us some example on how your hub has increased coordination between these data actors or data creators in your region? Maybe I can, since Rafael is already unmuted, you can go first.
Yeah, for example, as just an example is from the Ministry of Water Resources, like we want to run a project on rural water access. So we plan to be in contact with the ministry in order to get the official data, the existing data from the Ministry of Water Resources. So based on our project pilots, we have to maybe analyze the existing data and see where we can bring new variables to these data, and how now when we will run our project to update these data. So yeah, and you continue to get all key players in rural water access like NGOs, bilateral cooperation. Actually, we have done some meetings with World Bank here in Niger, USAID, and some NGO like WinRocks and maybe WaterEd. Will continue to be in contact with the key players and the actors that acting in rural water, so that we can see how they work, what they have done, what value can you bring to show the gap from the existing data, and maybe to create new geodata base update, and to create maybe more useful and professional thematic maps on rural water. The same things for the sustainability pilot project that we have to run in Togo, the climate change that we have to run in Liberia, and the public health infrastructure that we want to run in Senegal. And you continue mobilizing the actors that acting, for example, in Senegal. We will try to sign an MOU for Marie Stop, who is acting in public health. So that's the collaboration that we have to set in the other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Rufai, for sharing that example. How about you, Celine? Can you give us some example on how your hub has increased coordination between data creators and data users in your region?
Sure. So what we try to do is that when we detect a need, we first try within this dialogue, this large dialogue we try to have to create a network. We try to detect what other actors shares the same needs. So we try to group institutions that have the same kind of issues, not thematically, but in terms of methodological or technological needs. And it happens a lot, actually. It's something, it wasn't a perspective we had at the beginning, but it appears during the process. And then we connect them in, so this is an example. We have a kind of creative workshops. We call that, it's a kind of project, of master projects. And under this master project, we have many little projects. And we call that the project nursery. So we help these institutions to design their ideas and their needs, to understand and to develop their needs and turn them into projects. So we involve in the project that data experts from the community through open call or through hiring these experts when it's more pertinent. And when possible, we also try to make a certain diversity in this group of experts. This is part of our other objective to strengthen the open mapping communities. So, for example, when youth mappers can support, we involve the youth mappers, or etc. Other kind of groups or collectives from the open source community. And together they design the process and the way towards the results they need to have to achieve the impact for their local problem. Some specific examples in this process is in the municipality, in several municipalities of Medellin in Colombia. Medellin is a big city with several municipalities. There is one municipality in particular, but also a public library system. So it's a network of public library. And they want to strengthen local identity around patrimony and also make community doing that, make identity in the city and face tourism impacts in the city environment. This is one example. Another example is a human rights group of organizations in Venezuela and other countries that needs to learn around mobile apps for mapping and data representation. So the two examples actually share the same technological and methodological needs. So we will try to work together with these two groups of organization. Maybe with other actors, and a training will be designed and medium-term support from us on technologies easy to learn and easy to use for people non-specialized on mapping. Also to lead collaborators that can be other collectives, little associations, journalists, individuals in both contexts, to create simple data, to use the data, to centralize the data. So there is a data management strategy for them there, and to manage it and visualize the data to achieve their social impact or political impact in the case of Venezuela. That's it. Thank you. Arneli, are you there?
Yeah, so sorry I dropped out again, but yeah, thank you, Celine, for giving us two examples in your team or your project that you built with regional actors in LATAM. So yeah, going to John, I know you've mentioned some of your projects already, but yeah, maybe you can give us one example in your hub.
Yeah, okay. So the SLSI Chile Genchi Inspires program I have mentioned, and we are at the phase that the participants are creating their project ideas, and we are, I think, happy to see that there are around 60 project ideas from different regions, from different participants to discuss on. So I think this is one update on that activity. And also we are implementing booster grants to local communities and local organizations to boost the OpenStreetMap activity. If they need a boost in community building, if they need a boost in capacity building, etc., so that we are providing these. And what we are aiming to achieve is that we are planning to coordinate national dialogues, and within those national dialogues, the NGOs, the local governments, the communities, the individuals will be invited, so that to address the data issues, the data needs, the local context, and how OpenStreetMap data or open mapping activities in a broader sense can support these gaps, fill these gaps, or provide some solutions to that. So from those national dialogues, we are also trying to identify those problems, and again, planning to provide booster grants through these activities as well, so that identify local challenges, identify local problems with the local communities and local organizations, and if they need a boost, if any of these organizations and groups need a boost, so that we will be do our best to boost that effort in our best of our capacity. And also we are planning to have a wide range of university engagement programs, so that there's lots of potential in university students. There's lots of potential in open data and digital technologies, recent technologies, and being able to tap the university networks that are available and introduce open mapping, the value of open mapping, the benefits of open mapping activities in their projects, in their entrepreneurships, in their business, in their plans, in their careers, so that it is quite important to be able to both engage universities, not just students, also academicians as well, so that boosting it will help a lot in improving OpenStreetMap related or open mapping related research activities as well. So we are trying to engage with the communities, with the actors within the region in that way. And also we are organizing regional events like map and chat hours, etc., so that the representatives of these organizations and communities might get together and also build a network, so that that network can also the members of that network can also interact with themselves, so that in addition to that, national dialogues, regional dialogue might also be kicked off. And also what we are planning for the near future is also engage with the tech communities in an increased sense as well, not just mapping communities or not just mapping related disciplines, but there's a big technological aspect of that in open data and open technologies as well. So we are also trying to get engaged with the tech communities within the region as well, and connect those tech communities with the mapping communities, so that both knowledge and experience between that communities might support each other.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all your projects from thematic areas such as water access that Western Northern Africa Hub is focusing on, to identifying needs and problems in communities, approach of the Latin America, and some more projects like increasing women participation on the map and national dialogues from Asia Pacific. And I just want to remind all our participants that are here or watching through YouTube that you can ask questions in the Q&A section of Zoom, or in the chat of YouTube. So I believe we have a lot, or a very diverse audience watching us right now. So I'd like to ask you a question, the panelists a question. How do you think can global and regional organizations support and empower local mapping communities and local organizations? So maybe Celine can answer first.
Thanks. So I think it's important to change the traditional approach on data creation, and really try to understand the value of having a vision from inside the territory in this data through what we can call the local knowledge, right? Regional and global actors could know the data needs of local actors and of the local communities themselves. So we are talking about the people mapping and their neighbors, the residents, people who live the places. And for this, HOT aims to be a bridge that allows local communities to express and to make visible these data needs, to make visible also the pressing issues they have on their territory. So this is very different approach, bottom up from upside down. And so that the global actors can insert these visions in the development of their agenda, direct also their support to the right needs in the communities, and through a collaboration with intermediary actors such as HOT, but also any other kind of organization, they can develop the appropriate methods for mapping communities to be strengthened, to be empowered, and for the whole to develop the capacity for dialogue. So from one side, the capacity of dialogue with communities from international organizations, and allowing the local communities to dialogue, to learn how to dialogue with international organizations and also funders.
Great, great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Arnali.
Yeah. Thank you, Celine, for wonderful answer, serving as a bridge on those, and also having global and regional organization engage in dialogues with local mapping communities. So yeah, they can insert those needs of the local mapping community to their agenda, and also yeah, following the lead of local mapping communities. Yeah, do you have any additions from Rafaye or Jan? Rafaye, you can go first.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm agree with saying, but another thing maybe collection. I think it's better to put together with the global, the local communities, and even the beneficiaries of the project in terms of running the project, to set a data model like to be inclusive and participative, to define the different variables to collect from the fields, so that we can avoid any dismiss information from the field, because it's the data that define the map that you want to create. If you didn't collect the information that you need, so you cannot make a different thematic map. You cannot even make a geospatial analysis for decision making. So I think at the beginning of the project, the key players and the actors have to put together and to meet together to define the data model based on the need of the local community, based on the need of the global teams, based on the need of the government, based on the need of the different actors and maybe partners that we are together. So all this information, so we can put it together to define the data model, so that after you can avoid any dismiss information, and you can use this data to make our geospatial analysis, to make our request, to make our thematic map based on the needs, even for local, for global, and for partners, or for any government or any users that can use this data. So that's my input about these questions. Thank you.
Yes, great. Thank you, Rafaye. Talking about more on how global and regional organizations can help support local mapping by having like a set of data models on from creation to analysis, and also to application and usage of the data that has been created. And yeah, how about you, John? Do you have any more additions?
Yeah, so I'm very much in line with the comments of Celine and Rufai. So the local ownership of the data and local participation within those projects is I think changing lots of things. In when you compare to an international organization coming to a region implementing a project, but when the funding has run out or when the project timeline has finished, then just leaving that area. So local involvement of local communities, involvement of local actors, and ensuring that local data ownership is, I think, going to be the key in the sustainability of those projects. So if you implement those projects, if the projects are implemented with that local ownership and local participation, I think the follow-ups would be also much more easier to do for the later stages. Yeah.
Great. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
John. And aligning with that, yeah, here's how you can partner with us, with HUT and the Open Mapping Hubs. So yeah, you can contact us through the website, email, Twitter. Everything is shown in your screen. And maybe to close our session, since yeah, I haven't seen any questions here or on YouTube. Yeah, to close our session, my question to the panelists in one sentence. Can you describe what you are most excited about or looking forward with the work you are doing in localizing data creation? Just one sentence to make it short and sweet. Yeah, we can start by with John.
Yeah, so I'm going to maybe repeat myself, but I'm very excited about seeing more local ownership of the data and of the projects. So this is why I'm quite excited about, because it is also giving it whole different context, and I'm aware I have exceeded one sentence. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, John. How about you, Celine? In one sentence, what are you very excited about in localization?
So I am personally fascinated by the deep level of understanding that we have to develop. It's halfway between anthropology and technology foresight, and it requires to develop the strategy of localizing data with all this deep understanding. So I'd say that the way forward is to understand this complexity and give it the necessary attention. So not to rush and to seek to be a good bridge for the organization we are at HOT. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Celine. And yeah, Rafael, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah, I think, to see to update the existing data, that's what I think is exciting to do about the localizing your data, to take the existing data and make them update in order to show the gap between the different data that existing, and to be sure that the local communities have learned, and even the government staffs and the municipalities, the OSM community that running the collecting data have learned about the OSM use and the tools to show and publish the update data in the platform OSM that can maybe make an advocacy about a thematic area or a thematic information to show the different gap and the real-time information that can be produced on the OSM platforms. I think that's something that exciting me to these topics. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you so much to our panelists. Yeah, very looking forward and excited about the work you're doing in your respective hubs of focus. And yeah, as I've mentioned before, yeah, you can contact us, contact the Open Mapping Hubs, and also partner with us. You can reach out through this website, email, and Twitter. So yeah, just to give some more room for any more questions, Ben, can you confirm if we have other questions or we have received questions?
No, we have not received any other questions.
Okay, thank you, Ben. So yeah, with that, thank you again so much for joining us in this session. Thank you for our wonderful panelists, and yeah, for every one of you who's still in the HNP week. Yeah, hope you have a good rest of the week, and yeah, see you in other sessions. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.